Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Denise, Sonia, of course, Mom. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Myra.
I will stay. Am I still me? Okay. I will stay in the on the YouTube part so I can see it real time.
Okay. All right, so we are going to be in chapter 32 today.
And you guys, I did start a prayer list. So during the chat, if anybody has a prayer request, during this, all you have to do is uh, put it in the chat. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right. So you guys, we are going to go ahead and get started, but we're going to, of course, open with prayer. Good morning, Kim. Oh, my allergies. So this morning's prayer. Good morning, Samwana.
And Ciosa Sales.
Good morning, Siosa. So this morning's prayer is for the promise of God's rest. The key scripture today is Hebrews chapter 4, verse 9. And it says, "There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God." The key thought is, of course, faith rests in God. Dear God, thank you for your wonderful word, which teaches me how to enter into your rest. Thank you for the spiritual rest you promise to your children if they will love you, obey you, and believe your word. Thank you for your invitation, Father. Your Son, Jesus Christ, my Lord, has beckoned me to come to him when I am weary and heavy laden, knowing that you will give me rest. I do so now, and I take your yoke upon me so I can learn of you. In you, Father, and in Jesus, I will find rest unto my soul. Thank you for the fact that your yoke is easy and your burden is light. Lord God, I love you and I believe your word. Through your word, I receive faith to appropriate your promises and to enter your rest. Your word tells me that those who are willing and obedient will eat the good of the land and enjoy your blessing. When worries and fear threaten to disturb my rest, Lord, I will respond with prayer and with great thanksgiving to you. I will turn my worries over to you, and as I do so, I will receive your wonderful peace, which surpasses all understanding. Thank you for your peace and rest, and for your promise to keep my heart and mind through Jesus Christ. I cast all my cares, worries, and anxieties upon you, Father, and in return you give me your peace because you love me and care so much for me. Trusting in your care, I find great rest. How I rejoice in you, the God of all hope, because you are filling me with the joy and peace that come from believing. I abound in hope and rest through the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning, Misha. Good morning, Sandy. I can't say Sandy without sounding like um what's his name? John Travolta from Greece. Sandy. All right, everyone. We are in Genesis still. We are in chapter 32. It may help if I can type this morning. And this is where Jacob prepares to meet Esau. So before we read, where we left off last week in the Bible study. We know that um, they left Laban, and Laban's daughters stole all of his gods and his idols and all of that. But Laban couldn't find them, so he let them go and they went on their way. So it says here, Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, male and female servants. Now I am sending this message to my lord that I may find favor in your eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children. But you've said, I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted." He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau: 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 12 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, "Go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds." That's a lot of animals. It doesn't seem like much by just reading it, but if you were to picture yourself standing among these animals, I mean, just the 200 female goats is, I would imagine it was really stinky.
Well, but think of it also, he also had all of those servants and all of his children and his wives and all that. So there was a lot of, he had a lot to watch after all those herds. So it's not like all those animals would be together.
I mean, he was basically his own little country.
Yeah, yeah.
So verse 17 says, he instructed the one in the lead. When my brother Esau meets you and asks, who do you belong to and where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you? Then you are to say, they belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us. He also instructed the second, the third, and all the others who followed the herds. You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us. For he thought, I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending on ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me. So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. Now here, Jacob wrestles with God. And before we get to that, I like how it says that, wrestles with God. It says here, Jacob's nighttime face-to-face encounter with God at Peniel remarkably transforms Jacob. Jacob previously met God when he left Canaan, and he encounters him again on his return. The events at Bethel and Peniel are exceptionally important milestones in Jacob's life. Wrestling with God, that reminds me of, I'm sure everyone in here has heard of the footprints in the sand. It talks about, there are two sets of footprints, and then it leads to one. And then God says, that's where I carried you. But then, good morning, Louise. But then, when you get to wrestling with God, there are two sets of footprints in the sand. And then you just see one set of footprints and one long dragging mark. And, that's where God dragged you from your situation kicking and screaming.
I haven't thought of it that way. I always say, like I said this morning, that sometimes God remakes us, and it's the same way with like you have are restructuring your porch church. Sometimes God will take us and He will remake us like clay. And when you hear that in the Bible, you think, "Oh, okay, that's just like playing with Play-Doh." No, because to break you back down from a pot, if you think of dropping a very heavy ceramic pot that don't break, well, if you think of that and God taking that and breaking it back down, remaking it to be even stronger, there's a lot of pain that goes along with that on our end. It's the way I look at it. And I told the ladies this morning, Casey, that when we're remade sometimes, it's painful because people will leave will leave us, or God helps take them out of our life for whatever reason. And um, I have been sad about it a few times because I felt like, well, because you know how I am, I'm very soft-hearted, and sometimes the people that God takes out of our lives, it's hard to see them go. But once we get settled, then we see the picture that God, you had your reason, and that makes it easier. But the remaking and refiring process that God does is a hard thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's like several months ago, I read the story of it's not so much a story, but this person put into, I guess they made it into a story of what it's like to be a Christian and to follow God, and He reforges us in the fire. It's like tempering steel. Um, but many people think, you've always heard wrestling with my demons, but people don't really say I've been wrestling with God. And I think that's something that we do every day. We think about things that tempt us. We say, I'm faced with temptation, I'm wrestling my demons. But when you're faced with discernment and the Spirit, you're faced with conviction, you're wrestling with God. So, verse 22.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, Jennifer. So, verse 22, Jacob wrestles with God. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" Jacob answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed them there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. And I'm not sure if I read it here, but Peniel means face of God. That brings us to chapter 33. Jacob meets with Esau.
Okay, that's the whole point I've often wondered. So Israel is the holy city, isn't it? What they
Yes.
consider the holy city. Okay.
Well, Jerusalem is the holy city. Isn't it, or do I have that backwards? Let's see. Yeah, Jerusalem is the holy city.
So is it?
Israel's the country.
Oh, okay. So, but Jerusalem is in Israel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, Jacob prepares to meet Esau. Chapter 32 says, Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, This is the camp of God. So he named, or did I just read that? I did. I'm sorry, y'all. We're in 33. I forgot that I went backward. Um, Jacob actually meets Esau here. Sorry. So chapter 33 says, Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And Esau looked up and saw the women and children. Who are these with you? He asked. Jacob answered, They are the children of God, or they are the children God has graciously given your servant. Then the female servants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all, Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. Esau asked, What's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met? To find favor in your eyes, my lord, he said. But Esau said, I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. No, please, said Jacob. If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God now that you have received me favorably. Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need. And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. Then Esau said, Let us be on our way. I'll accompany you. But Jacob said to him, My Lord knows that the children are tender and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant while I move along slowly at the pace of the flocks and herds before me and the pace of the children until I come to my Lord in Seir. Esau said, then let me leave some of my men with you. But why do that? Jacob asked. Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord. So that day Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place is called Succoth. Succoth means shelters. After Jacob came from Padan Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and camped within sight of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the sons of Shechem, the plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There he set up an altar and called it El Eloi, Israel. And El Eloi Israel can mean El is the God of Israel, or mighty is the God of Israel. That brings us to 34. But one thing here, it says, Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. So I think he would have had to have been there for quite a while. When you just read it, it makes it sound like, it's just the course of a day or two, but it doesn't really say how long it was between them meeting each other and then how much time had passed.
Does it in the notes down there, in the study part?
That was verse 16.
That's a good point, Dwayne. That's a good point. I don't know why we wrestle with them sometimes when we all should just do what we feel is right.
It doesn't, but it really just states how, like, a distance. It says that Shechem lies about 20 miles to the west of Succoth. Possibly Jacob traveled from Succoth to Seir as he promised Esau before moving on to Shechem. The land of Seir lay to the southeast of Succoth. By camping close to Shechem, Jacob followed in Abraham's footsteps. While Abraham was at Shechem, God promised to give the land to his descendants. And good
But
morning, Dwayne.
but think too, how far could they have gone with all of those animals? How far, you know, or how long would it took them to make that journey? Is what I'm saying. To move all those animals that distance.
Mm-hmm. So we're in chapter 34. This is Dinah and the Shechemites. Chapter 40 says, Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, had born to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, Get this girl as my wife. When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock, so he did nothing about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the fields as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious because Shechem had done an outrageous thing in Israel by sleeping with Jacob's daughter, a thing that should not be done. But Hamor said to them, My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Intermarry with us, give us your daughters, take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle among us, the land is open to you, live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it. Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, Let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride and the gift I am to bring as great as you like, and I'll pay whatever you ask me, only give me the young woman as my wife. Because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's sons replied deceitfully as they spoke to Shechem and his father Hamor. Now, I want to say something here, because one of the arguments that many people have about Christians is that, oh, well, Christians are okay with slavery, and Christians are okay with rape culture, and Christians are okay with, abusing women and selling women as property and all of this other stuff. No. There were people who viewed women as property and, chose to defile women and all of this other stuff. But, when you see here, Jacob, was a very godly man, and he did not take kindly to someone defiling his daughter, and neither did her brothers. But I digress. Verse 14 says, They said to them, We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That would be a disgrace to us. We will enter into an agreement with you on one condition only, that you become like us by circumcising all your males. Then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters for ourselves. We'll settle among you and become one people with you. But if you will not agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go. Their proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man, who was the most honored of all his father's family, lost no time in doing what they said, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak with the men of their city. These men are friendly toward us, they said. Let them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours, but the men will agree to live with us as one people only on the condition that our males be circumcised as they themselves are. Won't their livestock, their property, and all their other animals become ours? So let us agree to their terms, and they will settle among us. All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, killing every male. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dinah from Shechem's household and left. The sons of Jacob came upon the dead bodies and looted the city where their sister had been defiled. They seized their flocks and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out in the fields. They carried off all their wealth and all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me obnoxious to the Canaanites and Perizzites, the people living in this land. We are few in number, and if they join forces against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed." But they replied, "Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute?" And that brings us to chapter 35. Jacob returns to Bethel. And I believe later in the Bible, Bethel actually becomes Bethlehem. And before I read chapter 35, an interesting thing here says, the events at Shechem possibly prompt God to instruct Jacob to relocate to Bethel. Jacob returns to where God appeared to him when he first fled from Canaan to go to Padam Aram. So chapter 35 says, Then God said to Jacob, Go up to Bethel and settle there and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you where you were fleeing from your brother Esau. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and who has been with me wherever I have gone. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. And here, it's called Elon Bakath, which means the oak of weeping. Verse 5 says, Then they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them so that no one pursued them. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. There he built an altar, and he called the place El Bethel, because it was there where God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside Bethel, so it was named Elon Bakath. After Jacob returned from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, Your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number. A nation and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you. Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Jacob called the place where God had talked with him Bethel. And Bethel means house of God. Now, we are in the deaths of Rachel and Isaac. Verse 16 says, Then they moved on from Bethel. While they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, Don't despair, for you have another son. As she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named her son Benoni, but his father named him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Okay, so it was Ephrath, that was Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day the pillar marks Rachel's tomb. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine, Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's servant Bilhah were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant Zilpah were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre near Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived 180 years. Then he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Now we're in chapter 36, which is the genealogy of Esau. So, chapter 36, this is the account of the family line of Esau, which is Edom. Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan, Adah, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and of Oholibamah. Oh. I almost said Oholibamah. Lord have mercy.
Take your time on this one.
Huh?
Take your time on this one.
I know. Oholibamah, daughter of Anna, and granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite. Also Basemath, daughter of Ishmael, and sister of Nebaioth. Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau. Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in Canaan. Esau took his wives and sons and daughters and all the members of his household, as well as his livestock and all his other animals and the goods he had acquired in Canaan, and moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob. Their possessions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. So Esau, that is Edom, settled in the hill country of Seir. Now this is the account of the family line of Esau, the father of the Edomites in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Esau's wife Adah, and Reuel, the son of Esau's wife Basemath. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Esau's son Eliphaz also had a concubine named Timnah, who bore him Amalek. These were the grandsons of Esau's wife Adah. The sons of Reuel were Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the grandsons of Esau's wife Basemath. The sons of Esau's wife Oholibamah, daughter of Anna and granddaughter of Zibeon, whom she bore to Esau, were Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These were the chiefs among Esau's descendants. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, chiefs Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These were the chief descendants from Eliphaz and Edom. They were grandsons of Adah. The sons of Esau's son Reuel were chiefs Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the chiefs descended from Reuel and Edom. They were the grandsons of Esau's wife Basemath. The sons of Esau's wife Oholibamah, chiefs Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These were the descendants, or the chief descendants from Esau's wife Oholibamah, daughter of Anna. These were the sons of Esau, that is Edom, and these were their chiefs. These were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who were living in this region: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These sons of Seir and Edom were Horite chiefs. The sons of Lotan, Hori and Homam. Timnah was Lotan's sister. The sons of Shobal were Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. The sons of Zibeon were Aya and Anna. This is the Anna who discovered the hot springs in the desert while he was grazing the donkeys of his father Zibeon. The children of Anna were Dishon and Aholibamah, daughter of Anna. The sons of Dishon were Himdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Karen. The sons of Ezer were Bilhan, Zavan, and Achan. The sons of Dishan were Uz and Aaron. These were the Horite chiefs, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These were the Horite chiefs according to their divisions in the land of Seir. Now, the rulers of Edom. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. Bela, son of Beor, became king of Edom. His city was named Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah from Bozrah, succeeded him as king. And Jobab sounds like some of the southern names that people still use today. Love you, Sonia. Sleep well. You're muted.
Yeah. Girl, you better go to bed. You done been up with us a long time over here in the United States. We love you and we'll see you in the morning.
Now it says here, when Jobab died, Husham from the land of the Timonites succeeded him as king. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, succeeded him as king. His city's name was Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah from Mazrekah succeeded him as king. When Samlah died, Shaul from Rehoboth on the river succeeded him as king. When Shaul died, Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor, succeeded him as king. When Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor, died, Hadad succeeded him as king. His city's name was Pau, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. These were the chiefs descended from Esau by name, according to their clans and regions: Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Aholibamah, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Aram. These were the chiefs of Edom according to their settlement in the land they occupied. This is the family line of Esau, the father of the Edomites. Now we're in chapter 37, and we'll read chapter 37 and stop there today. This is Joseph's dreams. So Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brother, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made an ornate robe for him, as we know was the coat of many colors. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Now Joseph is sold by his brothers. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them." "Very well," he replied. So he said to him, "Go on and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me." Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, "What are you looking for?" He replied, "I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they're grazing their flocks?" "They've moved on from here," the man answered. "I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan, but they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns, and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we will see what comes of his dreams." When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. "Let's not take his life," he said. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, there was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters come to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. So, there's a common theme here. Jealousy is evil. It causes you to do evil things. It caused Cain to kill Abel. It caused Joseph's brother to, try to sell him into slavery, or rather sell him into slavery, and faked his death. Jealousy will make you do some crazy things. I think that's why one of the 10 Commandments says, "Thou shalt not covet." All right, so we are going to stop there. And that was chapter 37. We will pick up chapter 38 Wednesday. We, of course, will close out with prayer today. Do we have any prayer requests? Mom, were there any prayer requests that were told today in your morning show?
There's some from like this weekend. Brian Wydell, he lost his mom. And while I was in, I think Super Dave's, somebody named Awaken World, their mom had passed away and asked for prayer. Deldon, um, which is on my Facebook, and he must be in the jewelry community. He had surgery, so we need to remember him in prayer.
I think he was in the hospital as of Saturday, but I think as like by Saturday night, I think he was able to come home. I think that's what he said in the MSP
Okay.
auction, was that he's finally home. But he'll
Still,
definitely still need prayer for
yeah,
recovery.
yeah. And biology this morning said her dad having surgery, and so she'll be traveling to her dad, and then
What's her name?
it's Veology, VEE hyphen semicolon, I don't know, OLOGY.
All
And
right.
then remember, as always, Denise and her husband Alvin. And yeah, Deldon's home, but after a surgery like that, we keep him apost. I can't even say that word. Then Misha's Pippi. Misha's Pippi.
Um, y'all pray for April and April's family. We'll say unspoken.
Yeah. Continue prayer for Mama.
I gotta cut this heater off.
I'm freezing, you guys. I don't know why I didn't bring the heater in here. I mean, it's not enough for us to cut the whole heater, the whole
It's
thing on, but I don't know why I didn't. In the morning, I bet I bring the heater in here to sit it beside me. But yeah, I have a doctor's appointment with my mom. And then my mom has a doctor appointment tomorrow as well. She goes back to the doctor that did her surgery on her knee. And then I think she's going to talk to him about having knee surgery because, that knee's not going to get any better. It's going to continue to give her problems. And then you guys remember me this week. If some of you don't, I know most of you come on every morning, but I have a major thing going on Thursday.
all right, you guys. So we are going to close out with prayer. Mom, will you do closing prayer today?
I will.
All right, everybody. Do what you need to do, however you pray. But we bow our head and we close our eyes. That's the Baptist in us.
Dear Lord, I pray for each and every person that is on the prayer list, and I pray for each and every person that they have prayers that go up to you that only you know of. And there are some that are near and dear to me that I know the pain and suffering that they're going through with their family. And Lord, I pray as you see them in my heart that you touch them special this morning. And Lord, I pray for Kevin and his continual healing with his back problems. And Lord, in the different communities, Lord, I pray that you will continue to lead me where you want me to go, and to where different channels, Lord, that when somebody asks for prayer, that there's praying people, that that it is a precious thing to see that your power and going out like it is right now. And I thank you, Lord, for getting me out of the darkness and allowing me to be part of this ministry. And I do pray over Casey and the ministry, Lord, and everybody that he touches by doing this every day. And Lord, thank you so much for all that you've done for our family. And I pray blessings over everybody else, Lord, that it will come across this video at some time. Lord, you have been wonderful to us, our family, our community. So, Lord, the broken in spirit, the lonely, those that feel like they have nowhere to go, I pray that you'll send them our way. And Lord, I pray for each and every person. I pray for their heart, their soul, their mind. Lord, those things are not only their body, but people that are suffering in their spirit and suffering in their mind, Lord. Those things are often the mind is not prayed over. But Lord, many of us suffer with things that are called depression and such as that. So Lord, I pray for everybody, mind, body, spirit, and soul. In your name, amen.
Amen. Good morning, Anna Mora. Um, so you guys, we will close out here today. We won't be doing it tomorrow. If you've not received the newsletter, then I want to let you know we're doing Bible study Monday and Wednesdays, and then preaching on Fridays. But I pray that you all are blessed today. I
Yeah,
pray that you're a blessing to other people.
yeah, outreach.
Outreach is Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes, and I met somebody that I used to go to church with. When I break out the Bible, I call Old Red. Is from the Baptist church that that's where Casey was baptized, and it's where the whole term Christian womanhood that I do. That's where that term comes from. Is from a course that I took about Christian womanhood, and I told Casey, when was it, Casey? Friday? Yeah, because you
I
went
think
with.
so.
And I told Casey, I said, we need coffee. We need to go get coffee. He said, Mom, do we need it before this weekend? I said, yeah, we need coffee. And we went and got it. And I ran into this woman and do what I do and talk to everybody. And she was trying to decide on coffee. And you guys, this woman, I went to church with her all those years ago. And so it was not by chance that I seen her. And she told me that her and her husband used to be in the radio ministry. And I said, oh, really? I said, where do you live? And she said, told me where she lived. I said, what's the radio station? When she told me, I said, oh my gosh, I went used to go to church there. And from all of that, we went to church at the same time together, and I knew her name. And as I was just speaking mine, she remembered me as well. And she was so, you guys, she was so lonely. And so she was with her daughter in law, but she said she had she said she had Jesus chills, is what she called them. And, she hugged me and hugged me. And she told me her husband had died. And she was telling me, like I said, how lonely she is. And I know where she lives, and so I have her phone number, so I'll be able to on some of the our outreach. That is one of the things that I've asked Casey if we could do sometimes is do outreach to
Congratulations.
people that are lonely. They've lost their spouse, and she doesn't have computer, so she has no way to see and enjoy people's company. So, you guys, wherever you go, it's nothing's wrong with just talking to somebody. So, I got to do church at Ollie's. So, that's part of my ministry. I take it with me. And I don't just do it during the week in the mornings. I take it with me because God is in my heart and He's with me everywhere I go. And I always try to give a kind word to anybody that I meet because you don't know who you're going to meet that might need that kind word for the day. And you never know who that person could be. And I used to tell the kids, I said, the Bible says we entertain angels unaware. And I used to tell them that a lot. And so I feel like when you're out there and you see somebody in tears or try to uplift them in a way. It doesn't have to be monetary, just try to give them a kind word, and as you leave, remember them in your prayers because God will use each and every one of us. We got free drinks. What day, Kate? Friday? Wasn't it Friday, Casey?
I
Yes.
think so.
You guys, we went through Sonic. I think it was, no, it might not have been that day, but we went through Sonic and somebody, when she come out there, she said, here, these are free. She said, I recognize your voice telling Casey that. She said, y'all come through here all the time. So we got free drinks. And I had my Betty Boop from Ipsy, and I said, you like Betty Boop? And I showed it to her. She said, oh, I love Betty Boop. I said, well, here you go. And she's going on a cruise and told us about going on a cruise with the church. So she was excited about that little old purse. It wasn't really a purse, it's a makeup bag. But, Betty Boop's okay, and it was pretty, but it found its home. So, you guys, it's little things. It's little things. So, as you guys, go out today, out in the, around anybody, just remember that. And I will remember that as I go to the doctor today because I'm really jaded. I really, really, I mean, nobody likes going to the doctor, but when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, doctors are a way of life. I mean, that's something that I know. Blood tests and all this stuff that's going to happen. And usually I do try to carry the joy of the Lord with me. But I'm really, I think the surgeon that said what he did, I think that's when all of it started, was it, Casey?
Mm.
When I really started having anxiety about having to go to a doctor. And so you guys remember me and Mama today as we go to her visit, and I see the same person. So you guys just remember that because I just don't want Casey to ever have to come on here and say, well, you guys, it finally happened. They put Mama in the crazy part of the hospital, and so it might be a week or two. And I'm not saying that, jokingly. It's, it almost happened a week or two ago, so you guys just keep me in your prayers um, because, when I'm on with you guys, I have so much fun and I feel the love, but sometimes when the computer's off, which I kind of I don't know.
Get caught in your head.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes on, more than one hamster running around with three legs. Um, some of them aren't very nice. You have hamsters and you think, oh, aren't they cute and cuddly? And I picked up somebody's hamster before and it bit me, and I'm like, I thought they were cute and cuddly. Doggone, it bites. So,
Let's ask Save Robbie about his hamster. She
oh,
bites.
oh,
Sandra
does she?
Jean.
And Sandra, you guys, that's my sister's name. So that's crazy. I can remember Robbie's hamster's name. But and I can see, Sandra biting. So yes, I have a hamster that's not too nice in there. So well, if you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. I know Dwayne, and Dwayne has seen some of my breakdowns, and you guys have seen the snotty breakdowns, and they're not so.
I've seen my breakdowns.
Yeah, me and Casey, we don't do pretty snotty. Uh, uh, we we just don't do very good snotty videos. The crying and all that. I laugh about it now, and I could always take them down. But if they touch one person and one person understands that I was able to come back from such a bad place and still come on and laugh and have the joy of the Lord in my heart, that one doctor didn't break my spirit completely, then we would just all be here together and have somebody like Liz Ann just come on wide open with her hat on, saying this crazy hat Friday. Silliness. She said she forgot to set her clock back, or she set it back 3 days. So thank God for Liz Ann to even bring more silliness. And you guys pray for Tracy. Pray for each of us women that comes on in the mornings. And Tracy will be so sick, bless her heart, and hurting, and still sing to each and everybody. And writes it down because she don't want to leave nobody out. What a wonderful ministry that God has called her to. Is that not the greatest thing, that God will lay it on somebody's heart to sing good morning to each and everybody, and then write it down to make sure she does not forget somebody. I love my Tracy. I love each of my women. They each touch people in different ways. And so pray for mine and Casey's ministries. So, Dwayne, I might hit you up in a little bit because you laid out of work. But let me see. What's our appointments, Casey? One and what?
One.
Oh, one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We got to go because we got to have gas.
So, you
So,
guys, we love you all. Pray that you have a blessed day, a stress free day. Be safe in whatever you do. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 on Mom's channel. And then Wednesday, we'll see you here on my channel. So I love you all.
love you guys.
Bye, everybody.